tuning back into the channel, please hit that like button, that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Each and every subscription helps. Hit that button. Cheap Not Broke fam, what's happening, everybody? Thank you for coming back to the show. You know what time it is. It's time for the Wednesday rant. And you know, we got a lot to talk about tonight, baby. America's going to hell in a handbasket. It's terrible. America's doing bad. We're doing bad, y'all. We're doing real bad. But we're going to get into it tonight. Thank y'all for tuning back into the channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. We have 1,400. We need a lot more. But everybody that subscribed, came into the channel, all that, I appreciate you. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We are going to get into it. As you know, man, America's rolled back. 1965. It's 1965 in America. Man, it's not good. It's not good. But we're going to get into all that tonight. We're going to get into all of that. We're not going to get into all the who you voted for and all that. That's your business. But we are going to get into how you affected, who's affected, and who's affected the most? Poor people. Poor people. Yes, sir. So, as you know, President's back in office. Trump is back in office. And, man, he's taking people to the cleaners. Already giving people, making people lose their jobs. Unemployment, you know, letting off federal workers go. Everybody. Hey, letting federal workers go, DEI, everybody who works for the federal government with the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion programs, DEI programs, those folks are getting let go. So a lot of people are getting let go. A lot of people are let go. So we're going to get into it tonight. We're going to talk about some of these executive orders because, hell, you're affected. You're affected. If you don't make billions of dollars in America, you're probably affected. So I wanted to get into that tonight. Man, it's been, I'm trying not to watch all of it because, man, some of this stuff is disheartening, but this is America. You go back and forth, back and forth. And one thing it lets you know about the law can change. The law can change. Letting not Capital One, damn it. I'm watching all the commercials. The January 6 people that stormed the Capitol, letting them out of jail. Who would have thought they would have got out of jail? Criminals. Prisoners storming the White House, storming the Capitol building. That's a federal crime. And then people are getting he let them all out of jail. But you know what? He's a criminal himself. He's the criminal in chief. Get it? The criminal in chief, not the commander in chief. You know, usually like the commander in chief, but he's the criminal in chief. And the criminal in chief is letting everybody out of jail. So who would have thought that? And I just been listening to some of the things that have been going on. And man, everybody's not happy about this. Everybody's not happy about this at all, man, because, you know, that kind of undermines the law. Now, yeah, a lot of people go in jail for a lot of foolishness. People are in jail for less, but, man, to sit there and go into a federal building and get let go, crazy. And I don't think he let everybody out. I'm pretty sure, I don't know who all he let out, but I'm pretty sure some people still sitting their ass in there. So everybody didn't let go. Some people are going to still sit their ass in jail, and that's rather, well, it's fortunate. It's fortunate because you need to go to jail for that. But the people he let out of jail, man, come on. And I bet you the 60 Minutes, Fox News, they're going to be interviewing these people. These people going to be coming up. So it's bad. It's bad. But we want to get into some of these executive orders. And one of the ones that disappointed me the most is laying people off from the federal government. These people with diversity inclusion programs. You know, you might just bought a house, just had a baby, whatever the case. You are out of a job. You are out of a job. And in America, that's the last place you want to be is out of a job. We all need money. We all need to survive. And first thing he does to get in office is let everybody go. So, oh, you thought the TikTok ban was great. Well, let me tell you. Yeah, all right, cool. I'm going to bring TikTok back and I'm going to fire you. You can watch TikTok while you at home, sitting at home, waiting on the job. So, it's unfortunate, but we're going to get into it tonight. Some of these executive orders, and there's a lot of them. It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit of them. I originally looked for them. It didn't give me all the ones I wanted, but some of the ones that I want to really cover tonight. The increase of Medicare health costs. That's going to be one of them. Going to increase the healthcare consequences, out of pockets. Healthcare costs impacts. Learn about the potential consequences of this policy. Out of pocket healthcare costs for people on Medicaid, poor people with no money. Hey, and then what else do we have? We had the one where diversity and inclusion, rolled that back. There's no longer, you're not longer protected by sex, age, race, and discrimination. You're going to give people merit jobs. White man, he's rolling this all back for white men, right? Rich, wealthy men. That's what he's rolling it back for. They're trying to get rid of the unions. So, man, it's going to be not going to be a fun 4 years. However, we've been through worse. We've been through way worse. This is not the end of the world. It's just started some stuff that we don't like. And if you're not into politics, you better get into them. You better get into state and local government, because your state and local government going to have to pick up the slack where where the federal government is not. Now, remember, the states, you still got protection under the states. Some of the states still can put things in place for protection. All right, depending on what kind of state you live in. If you live in Mississippi and some of these other states, Texas and stuff like that, I don't know if it's going to happen to you. But some of these states still have things in protection, still have protections for people, but you can't protect everybody from losing their jobs. So let's get into it. The one I really want to get into was the healthcare costs. Rolling back the healthcare costs for Medicaid. I know I got into that the other night a little bit, but healthcare provisions. For the first time, Medicare can negotiate price for certain prescription drugs, lower costs, capping out costs introduces 2000. Oh, this is what Biden put in place. Biden put this in place. Let's see. This is the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This was a significant piece of legislation in the United States aimed at addressing inflation, healthcare costs, climate change, energy security, and all that. He rolled all that back. So the way we going, the ocean going to be black. The ocean going to be dirty as hell. Dirty water, all that stuff. No more. Nobody cares about the environment. Going to be trash all on the ground. He rolled that back. But the healthcare costs. Rolling back healthcare for Medicaid. These people don't have jobs. That's why they're on Medicaid in the first place. Elderly people who really need the money, they're not going to be able to get their prescription. And you already see what's going on with insurance companies. We already know about United Healthcare. You saw what happened to the CEO. People aren't happy about that. So what do we do about that? But I wanted to bring some of these other things to people's attention so you know what the hell is going on. Because things are changing rapidly, and you want to make sure you are in the know of what's going on. Like a lot of people are saying, this is going to be the biggest wealth gap we ever seen in history. Because this is all about big business. All this is about big business. All these big companies. You've seen everybody that owns a major company. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Jeff Bezos, CEO, Elon Musk, Tesla. All these people with these big ass companies, they're the ones that's going to be getting all the benefits. I don't think if you make up under a certain amount of money, if you make up under, I don't know, what, $250? That's still not a lot. I mean, it's still not a lot of money, but people who make up under a certain amount of money are truly going to be affected the most. And those people who just lost their job, they've been laid off, but you already know they're going to get rid of you. And other stuff is going to come. And this only been 2 days. So nothing that's happened has been in favor of the people. None of these things that have happened have been in favor of the people. But we're going to go through a couple of these executive orders. Let's see. All right, let's get into it. Now, before I get into it, let me just say this. The whole TikTok thing was a hoax. That was a bunch of garbage. The thing went off for 24 hours, and then it was back on before he got in office. That's how I knew it was a joke. It's not like, okay, he got in on Monday. TikTok went off on Saturday night. It was back on Sunday night. He didn't get in office until Monday. So he got in off on Monday, and they brought it all the way back. So what's that about? And if you're not, we already got enough platforms. I get people that making money on TikTok. That's cool. But there's way more stuff that'll be affected. So who cares about TikTok? I mean, a lot of people are going to be on TikTok complaining about what the hell is going on. A lot of people are going to be on TikTok complaining about what's going on. So let's get into a couple of these. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Executive order number 1. Initial resections of harmful executive orders and actions. Revokes and several executive orders from the Provision Administration. That's not what I'm looking for. I really want to get in one about the healthcare. Let's see. Clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States directs deployment of U.S. troops to the southern border to enhance security measures. Like things would go. Wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. So I don't know if you noticed. He sent all these troops down there to the border to keep immigrants out. Now, first off, last time I checked, people don't just cross the border. Immigrants fly in on planes. So that's just about Mexicans. All immigrants don't come from Mexico. They don't. People fly in on planes and get here other ways. But they're making it sound like everybody who comes in here illegal comes from the border. And I know a couple of states, like state of California, San Francisco, they've already now saying, look, we're not enforcing this because this is a federal thing. And that's going to take state resources. So some states are going to be like, no, we're not doing it. We're not participating in that. And, man, it's tough. It's tough because some states are going to do it, some states are not. So it's really going to be important for you to pay attention to state and local government. But they did deploy troops down to the border, costing federal taxpayer dollars. And what the hell is that going to do, really? I mean, you got them down there, tanks and all that stuff. What, you going to shoot them, gun them down? The people, I mean, you got women and children out there, right? Women and children. But hey, that's what they do. Everybody's complaining about the door. They're taking our jobs. Well, let me tell you something. Your poor ass might lose your job too, based on the way things are going. So the same people who voted for him, what if you lost your job? Now what? Now what? You lost your job. What you going to do now? You go get another job? And these are federal jobs. They just put a hiring freeze on federal employment, federal jobs. So if I was trying to get me a job with the government too. I want one because they got good benefits. They're getting rid of that. They're getting rid of a lot of stuff. But to roll back the healthcare costs for Medicaid and these older people, these are sick people that are going to pay more money. And I'm pretty sure it's going to become the Wild Wild West with insurance. It's all about big business. And there's been a big problem with healthcare anyway, because who determines what kind of health you get? And not determine what kind of health you get. Who determines what you get and what you don't get? Your health insurance company. And they're sitting back on there based off of how much money they're not. They don't care if you get sick or not. They don't care about that. They don't care nothing about that. They don't care nothing about you making they don't care about your health at all. They care about making money. That's insurance companies. Insurance companies are business. Please don't forget that. I've been talking about this a couple nights ago. Insurance companies are in business of making money. They're in business of making money. If they're not making money, they don't give a damn. They don't really care about what's going on. So these health insurance companies are going to be running them up. Also, what else we got here? Protecting the American people against invasion enhances measures against illegal immigration and related activities. Nobody cares about that. Unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential promotes resource development in Alaska. Probably going to go out there and drill for oil. Because what else? What resources Alaska got? I don't know if they got salmon, but they're probably going out there to drill for oil. I got to look into that. And what else we got here? America's first policy directive to the Secretary of State guides foreign policy decisions to prioritize American interests, not your interests. Big business, big companies' interests, the Amazons of the world, the Facebooks of the world. And these are people you can't, you can't even take them to court. Hell, Facebook. I lost my Facebook page 2 years ago. Awesome trash. Facebook doesn't even have customer service. So if you got all your stuff in Facebook, if you got all your pictures up there, make sure you back it up. Back up your pictures on Facebook. Back all that up. I lost my Facebook page. I lost it. I can't get it back. So just a side note, if you got Facebook, back all your stuff up. Because if you lose it, you're not getting that back. Let's see. Ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and prefacing removes DEI programs from the federal level. So I don't know if you know about diversity programs. Basically, non-white men, not women, black people, white people, gay people, people with handicaps, elderly people, people with no power, okay? People who aren't white men. That's what these programs were designed for. He rolled back the 1965 law, I forget what was Lyndon Johnson had put in place, where you can't discriminate based off race, sex, religion, and I think a couple other things. But there's going to be a hell of a lot more discrimination out there. Freedom of speech. People will be getting called all kind of names out here. All kind of names. So basically, he's taking us back to the 60s. And I just don't know. Well, we knew this was coming. This is probably going to be one of the, I'm not going to say the worst. I don't know if it's going to be the worst presidencies because Reagan was pretty bad. But it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for people. But what people do need to understand, what I want to get on here and talk about is, look, local and state government is going to be important. It's going to be important for you to pay attention to local and state government because those are the ones that's going to save you. So some states are already trying to get the diversity programs put in place in their own states. But the federal government, there's nothing you can do about that. That is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see. You're going to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? Nobody cares about that. I mean, I don't know. Can he do it? I don't know who owns it, but the Gulf of Mexico, why does that matter? Gulf of America, does it really matter what it's called? I mean, ain't nobody going to swimming in the Gulf of Mexico. Anybody been swimming on the drop comment? You been swimming in the Gulf of Mexico? I bet you haven't. That water dirty. Nobody go to Gulf of Mexico beaches like, oh, we're going down to Louisiana, Texas, all those countries, those states that border the Gulf of Mexico. Nobody's going there. Now, Mexico actually, off coast of is Cancun border the Gulf of Mexico? I'm not sure. But changing the name of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, that's another thing that's happening. We also got, reforming the federal hiring process to merit and government implements federal hiring freeze, excluding the military, emphasize merit-based hiring. They're going to hire white men first. That's all that means. They're going to hire white men first. That's what it is. It's going to be harder for other people to get jobs. Designating cartels and other organizations as federal terrorist organizations, especially designed for global terrorists, targeting human trafficking cartels and organizations. What about these white school shooters? What about these guys doing that? What about all that? Why are they not considered terrorists? These are people going to terrorize families and children. Those people are still not considered domestic terrorism. And that still happens. They're not as nearly as tough on that as they are on some of these people crossing the border. Now, this is a big problem. That's not being addressed. And some of the stuff that he said we're going to address, he's not. What about the economy? What about the price of eggs? Eggs have gone up. I mean, I don't know. The chickens are taking a break. The eggs ain't coming. Eggs are coming up. People are struggling. Daycare is a problem. You got a lot of people out here with children, and daycare is expensive as hell. Super expensive. And now people got to go back in office. So if you got to go back in office, what you about to do? Some people stay home with their children. That saves them a lot of money. They got to pay for all that daycare, or they take it when they need to. But now if you got to go back in office, you got to not only sit in traffic, spend money at lunch, because that's what this is all about, spending money. This is about consumerism. They want you to go back in office so you spend money on lunch and all this other crap. So they making money. But the people who have children, daycare has been a big problem, and nobody ever addresses that. Daycare is super expensive in America for people. Costs a lot of money. It's like some people it's like paying a mortgage. It's like paying rent again. And it sucks. But they're not doing anything of that. School shooting happened in Nashville. Sure did. Sean 5387. School shooting happened in Nashville today. And are they going to call him a domestic terrorist? No, they're not. And they don't get the death penalty. That's what should have mentioned. None of these guys get the death penalty for doing none of this stuff. All right? That's something. You going out to killing family, ruling families, killing people's kids. No, you should get the death penalty for that. And he also brought the death penalty back. So this sounds like he's just rolling everything back to 1965. All before that. All the stuff Martin Luther King fought for. That's what he did. And to make this so bad, they did it on Martin Luther King Day. Y'all could have did this day after that. Martin Luther King, I had a dream. I know he said, now this is a nightmare. Martin Luther King saying this is a damn nightmare. Right. Restoring the death penalty and protecting public safety expands the use of death penalty for certain federal crimes. Declaring a national emergency, further action to promote energy independence and infrastructure development. Securing the borders. Realign the United States refugee admissions program. Adjust policies related to refugee admissions. Unleashing American energy. We don't care about that. Clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States. Directs deployment of U.S. troops to the southern border. We already talked about that. So this is a whole bunch of stuff. But the biggest thing about this is the worker protections, rolling back the diversity inclusion program. That's how a lot of people got jobs. So now, if they're not hiring anybody, no diversity, you just have all white people out of this country, at the companies, so now you can do about it on the federal level. They don't have to hire women. They don't have to hire black people, Mexican people, people with disabilities. They don't have to hire nobody no more. And that's going to be a problem. He just fired people today. People just lost their jobs. And, man, I feel terrible for you if you voted for him. If you voted for him, you voted against your own interests. You voted against your own interests. That's not what you wanted to do. But some people have voted against their own interests. But what do you do about this, people? Ladies and gentlemen, what do you do about this? Well, you got to pay attention. You got to get out and vote local. You got to go out and go vote local. Who your governor is matters. Who your governor is matters. Who your mayor is. City council. Government, city government, going out to the city hall to these meetings. You gotta go. People are gonna have to get really more active in government. Like, all right, usually people only show up every 4 years when it's time for the presidential election. You got to take your ass out there and vote when your governor is out there, because you notice when it's time for the governor to get elected, they don't get nearly as much publicity as it does the federal election. Federal election, everybody knows, blah blah blah. But when it's time to vote local, people don't show up like that to the polls because they don't promote it. Who's your attorney general? Who's the top police officer in your county? Who is the DA? All this stuff matters. It's going to matter now. It's all going to matter. So the federal level, you can't do much, but at the state and local level, you can do a whole lot. So you're going to have to make sure we pay attention. And 2, commerce. You're going to have to do business, because if you lose a job, man, let me tell you something. I've been out of work. I've lost jobs, and it's not easy. Unless you're managing your money great, it's not easy. It's not easy. And the rich are going to get richer and richer and richer, because they already got a monopoly on things out here. They already got a monopoly on this. I was just listening to something about Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster and Live Nation. They have a whole monopoly on ticket sales. And they charge you all these fees. I haven't been to a concert in a while, but if you do go with Ticketmaster, service fee, they got all kind of fee. What else is there? Service fee, processing fee, all kind of fees. And remember, Biden was trying to get rid of the junk fees. Junk fees coming back. So it's going to be really important to try to figure out how you can get your money. You're going to have to take care of your money, because you just never know. I'm sure those people did not know they were going to lose their jobs working for the federal government. The diversity and inclusion people, they didn't know that. I was talking to somebody. All the diversity and inclusion programs they had on the books, gone. Now, if you got private company, they can still do that. Private company can do whatever the hell you want to. Also, he's making federal workers go back in office. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan of going into the office because it costs money. You got to drive to the office. You got to drive back. You got to sit in traffic. And a lot of times when you get off work, you're exhausted. You're just tired. You don't want to do nothing. That kills people's productivity. They don't want to do it. You go to work 8 o'clock. Got to be to work at 8 o'clock. Probably got to get out the house 7. Some people 6:30 because of where they live, how far they are. You get off at 5. Don't get home till 7 o'clock that night. You got to really be resilient to go to try to build your business or do all those things outside of work. Now, some people have been going in the office the whole time. They're not affected. Resort fees were removed today. Oh, I didn't know that. Allegedly, resort fees were removed today. Now, resort fees, don't get me started on those. Man, you go to a hotel, you go to Vegas, they charge you a resort fee every day. By the 3rd day, you pay for another night in hotel stay because of resort fees. Wow. Well, here's what you're going to have to do. People are going to have to invest. You're going to have to invest your money. I don't know if you're investing or not. You got to invest your money. Speaking of which, I do have my tax professional coming on Monday. I will be putting that out tomorrow. Putting that out tomorrow. So if you want to know about taxes, we're going to get into that Monday night. So if you're watching right now, you haven't filed your taxes, got questions about taxes, get them ready. I got a real my tax guy, CPA and all that stuff. He's going to come on. He's going to explain all the tax information that we want. Probably going to have about maybe 35 minutes to an hour. Josh Brown, what's going on? Voting blocks is the best way of voting. Have an agenda that will build your community. You are powerful as a group. This individual voting never works. It never works. But you know what? You're absolutely right. But what people got to do? You got to meet. People got to meet. You got to have some meetings. People got to have the same agenda. Like the neighborhood watch meeting. You got to show up. People got to have community meetings. As a black person, if you're watching, you're black right now. What is the agenda? What is the agenda for black people? What do we want? Now we got to understand what the hell you want from the government. Because I'm telling you right now, next election, oh no. People are going to be begging for the blue. We got to go blue.